we're trying new things. We're excited about it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about being here, and thank you for welcoming me.
Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. So just a quick overview of the lay of the land. So downstairs, we're gonna have refreshments. Miss Patricia, she's been manning all of your folders. So if there's little gaps in your paperwork or whatever, she's gonna be the person who is gonna hunt you down before you guys leave, just to make sure that everything is intact. And then of course, Sabrina was up front giving out the swag bag. So if you haven't received one, please help yourself. So, and then of course, please take out the time and get to know Miss Elizabeth, because she will be your day-to-day contact. Okay, so, all right, so a little background on Primrose. Obviously, you guys have, many of you have already been a part of this with us, but obviously a big portion of the curriculum is really not only kind of fostering the development of the creative, the academic, and the physical development of our children, but also really building out the social emotional child. So we really kind of want to foster, we really focus on building out the character and the life skills of our children here. And that starts with our infants and toddlers. So obviously that is a very critical component of what we're doing, and we start them very, very young with that. So what we believe is who children become is as important as what they know. And that is absolutely true, just kind of cultivating those soft skills, which really do lend themselves to the success in the future. Our balanced learning approach is exclusive to us. So many of you have already kind of tasted it, experienced it. Your children have, you've been here, you've kind of seen the growth with them personally, but it is an exclusive curriculum that we have at Primrose Schools. It is developed by professionals that focus on early education, and it's time tested, it's research driven. And so that's definitely something that we are proud of having that here. So the one area that obviously I keep kind of focusing on, and I know that many of you heard me say that, is our social emotional development. And so we do have a formal curriculum that's tied to that. It's called our Happy Hearts curriculum. You'll see our puppets, they're kind of scattered around everywhere. Those puppets have a name, they have a character trait that they represent, and we want our kids to imbibe: respect, generosity, friendship, cooperation, all of that. They're also aligned to different learning domains. So anytime we do a lesson, we'll incorporate our friends into those. But you'll see them splattered around the building. They're incorporated in some of the music that we have here. They're incorporated in some of the literature that we have here. And so you will maybe hear, we'll do lessons around that. So you will maybe hear your kids talk about Og or Percy, have a favorite friend. And so that it's an integral component of what we do teach our kids here. That actually lends itself to the way that we kind of perceive or how we handle behaviors and whatnot. So everything is positive reinforcement, everything is positively guided. And so we do that again through our puppet friends. If there's any behaviors, if there's any interventions that need to occur, again, we use those modes to kind of communicate them through. Student folders. So obviously Patricia has been kind of following up with you all with what all is required. And there are going to be certain paperwork that is required before your kids start with us, or it needs to be updated annually. So she's just going to touch base on what that is, but it's all the New York State required forms. If there's anything that needs to be updated in regards to authorized pickups, new allergies, change of residence, whatever that may be, please, please, please just update us so at least our records are up to date. Okay, this is basically just the documents that are required: the daycare enrollment form, the Primrose School enrollment agreement, the medical form. So obviously that's going to have to be an annual update. Allergy and dietary restrictions, signed and stamped annually. Things change all the time. Non-medication consent form. That would be any usage of sunscreens, diaper creams, basically anything that we put onto the child, diapers, ointments, has to be approved and provided by you. Safe sleep practices. So for them, many of your kids are sleeping in cribs. We're going to start transitioning them to cots at some point. All of that literature is included on this. So then at least you know, you're privy to what it is. Transportation information, photography, video and social media release. So up until now, I mean, most of our stuff is kind of internal, but if you are uncomfortable with us posting it on any sort of social media outlet, let us know that as well. and then the parent handbook. So a lot of what we're going to go through, you would have heard at some point, but basically the parent handbooks are given to you. There are going to be certain addendums that are made. I'm going to share that with you all digitally, so then at least you just have a copy, and I'll just kind of point out what has changed. Persons authorized to pick up children. So obviously up until now, all of our drop-offs and pickups have been up front. We're going to continue that. We're going to continue that with the way things are going. We just feel more comfortable that way. But either way, if you do have, whoever you have authorized to pick up basically needs to be a legal adult, and you need to provide their information ahead of time. They need to come in with a license. So you just need to provide that, and we will make note of it in whoever is up front will at least know that they will then be able to release your kids to the appropriate person. Okay, billing. So billing occurs on a monthly cycle. Again, I know that a lot of you have already kind of been through this, but it occurs on a monthly cycle, and we send it out the preceding week before for the following month. If there's any lapse payments or late, whatever, there's a $25 fee that occurs. And I'm just going to throw this out there. So the methods of payment include ACH and check, which does not incur any processing fee. But if you do use any credit card, debit card, just please note that there is a 2% fee. Attendance. So attendance, we are going to be billing for the month. So even if there's any absences, please note we will not, it's still, you're still committed to whatever that monthly fee is going to be. We do, our hours of operation are from 7 to 6:30. So that's all available to you. We serve breakfast from 8 to 8:45. 9 o'clock is when we do recommend kids to be here at latest by, just because that's when we jump into something called circle time. Our very young infants obviously don't really go through that, but when they do start transitioning, our older infants do start experiencing something called circle time, which is a large group activity that occurs at 9 o'clock. And then we would say that we strongly recommend that kids after 10 o'clock, it just becomes a little disruptive. So we would prefer our kids to come by 10 o'clock, before 10 o'clock. Daily schedule, just please note that obviously we don't have as many children coming in before 8 o'clock or after 5 o'clock. So before 8 o'clock and after 5 o'clock, we do then have to combine the kids with their appropriate age group. So I'm just telling you also that at least you all could kind of be prepared that before 8 o'clock and after 5 o'clock, your kids will be combined with their age group. The school closings and holidays, we have calendars, and so we sent it at some point, but we have an updated copy up front, and then a menu and the Happy Hearts curriculum. But all of that literature is up there, so you can just take a copy and then you can have it for your reference. Obviously, school delays, any method of communication is really done through this app. So I'm sure most of you have already downloaded it because a lot of our communication and correspondence occurs through this app. So it would be the same thing when any sort of school delays ever were to occur, any school closings were to occur, that's all going to occur through this app. So keep it handy and available. Uniforms. So the uniforms, of course, don't pertain to you just yet, but some of you have older kids. So that's really going to be for our preschool and our pre-K kids, Monday to Thursday, and Fridays are dressed up. So just something to note for future. Oh, and the first bag. So we do advise that all of you come in with a Primrose bag. That's just something that we do have mandated. The first bag is complimentary by us. If for whatever it gets lost or damaged or whatever, then we will give you a website and you can go and you can purchase your bag from there. But otherwise, the first bag is complimentary by us. If for whatever reason you have not received it, then please come and find us and we will make sure to give you one. So what does my child need to bring? Our infants and our toddlers. So again, many of you have already been here, but 3 shirts, onesies, 3 pants, a pack of diapers, a pack of wipes. We will do the diaper changes every 2 hours or as needed, which means that if it needs to occur sooner, we will do it sooner. Diaper cream, labeled bottles, first and last name, date, labeled food, first and last name, date, and ingredients. No glass bottles are permitted at all. And also I would like to note that if the clothing is not labeled day 1, because we've had many occurrences of this, we don't want that possibility of items getting lost, mixed up, mishandled, whatever. We really need everything to be clearly marked. And if it's not, that when the kids do start with us, we will need to write on them. So I don't want to have to do that, but that's just something because we don't want it to kind of get lost. This is in your future. Okay, so COVID, obviously, I mean, hot button item. We built out our school during COVID. We opened our school during COVID. We're very familiar with COVID, aren't we all right now at this point? We follow all of our rules and regulations set forth by OCFS and the health department. Up until now, I mean, I could probably say that we haven't really had too many incidents. Just not that one for that. So whatever policies and procedures we put into place, we're going to maintain those because they seem to have worked for us. Masks are mandated for adults. We have not mandated them for children. There are individuals that feel more comfortable, so that's perfect. We will try to maintain that in school to the best of our abilities. But again, it's not a mandatory thing for our children. Yeah. If you're exposed to COVID or have tested positive for COVID, please notify the school as soon as possible. Obviously, at that point, we will have to inform OCFS, which is the Office of Child, Family and Services. But beyond that, we will also send a message to the school. And that's what we've been doing with any occurrence that we've had. We pride ourselves on transparent communication. We're going to continue that. You will be notified via ProCare immediately if a situation is to arise. So the health and safety obviously is first and foremost the most important thing that we care about here. So maintaining that is critical. Primrose as an entity, they've been around for several years, obviously not necessarily through COVID, but in life, so that they, from corporate, have their own policies and procedures that we have to adhere to. And then we actually further enhance them, again, to make sure that our facility is as safe as possible. Okay, health and medical. If your child is showing signs of illness that require pickup, you will be called. Obviously, again, we will, even if it's something that doesn't necessarily need a pickup, we will still, if there's any incident, we will still call and inform you. We write up a formal report. We present that to you at the end of the day, but we will call you at the time of the occurrence anyway, so at least you're up to date. The child must be fever-free, have medication for 24 hours. If they're of 100 degrees or higher, obviously they cannot enter the building, but they need to be fever-free for 24 hours before coming back. Or they will require a physician's note before coming back, depending on the illness. Obviously, if it's COVID related, then they're going to need to quarantine for 2 weeks. Okay, so best practices with COVID, and that's what we started with. That's what we're going to be maintaining. Children's temperatures are taken twice a day. We do the same for our teachers here. So once upon entry, once upon when they wake up from their nap. We have a nap in the middle of the day from 12:30 to 2:30. Once they wake up before snack starts, we go around, we make sure that we take everyone's temperatures. Frequent hand washing is embedded into the curriculum. That was something that was always there. Obviously, that's just best practice in life, so that's fine. Frequent disinfecting of high touch surfaces. So we have these chemicals that are right here. It's from a company called Ecolab. So we actually disinfect our playgrounds between uses. And then obviously we also disinfect all the toys. They're actually all food safe. So just for your own reference, obviously they're going to be entirely safe for your kids to be around as well. Toys are washed and sanitized using the Ecolab products. The Halo Silk Fogger is that huge machine right there. So anytime we've had any sort of communicable illness, disease, infection, whatever, in a certain room, obviously we've vacated the children from that room. And then this thing is basically like a concentrated hydrogen peroxide emitter. And so we'll take that into the rooms and we'll basically spray it down, and it's supposed to kill any of the pathogens that it comes across. Any of the pathogens that it comes across. So we've used that for the entirety of our time here, and it seems to work.
So like whenever you guys tell us if someone tests positive or
RSV or
RSV,
anything, then we'll just use that in that room.
we'll run that in that evening or whenever. It takes about 3 hours and it covers.
Daily laundering, so obviously all the sheets, blankets, sleep sacks, bibs are all provided by us, and we launder them in-house. Food is freshly prepared by Chef Chanel. So of course, if there's any allergies or whatever, again, this is to kind of control the environment in some ways. But So she'll prepare all the food, but of course, if there's any allergies or dietary restrictions, then you would just let us know and then we would make accommodations. Professional clean, yes, sure.
So by age group?
Yep.
Like students, toddlers get provided food or?
Yes.
Couple points you guys.
So we actually start transitioning them when they're ready for table foods and when you guys are comfortable with transitioning them. So many a times, obviously, when you're introducing kids to babies to foods, you will do the single ingredient item and then you kind of transition them up. When you're comfortable and when they're showing signs of being able to chew or whatever, then we'll introduce them to food that we have. And we could start it off gradually. We'll give you guys the menus anyways, so you can say, okay, fine, there's applesauce on the menu, or there's mac and cheese or something that's soft, and we could kind of take it from there.
I think feeding is such a personal thing. We have some kids here who are, because we still have the fridge in that classroom, you can still send in food, or we can supplement. Right?
Yep.
So I would just say that you'll have to use the app for to kind of keep us posted if you're ready. We always have applesauce, we always have yogurt, we always have soft items, even if not, maybe they knock over all of their stuff, we can call you. But just, I would say, kind of keep in contact about that, because it is very different for all of you. You all have very different feeding plans.
Yes.
So just so I'm clear, is this app the ProCare app?
Yes.
Is that where you download all the information?
Yes. Yes.
Because that was my question, like how do you know where our baby child is in her food journey?
Basically, everything is going to come.
Okay.
So you'll get all the feeding updates, all the diaper changing updates, all of your updates. You're still going to provide it for the rest of the day unless you feel comfortable with that, in which case we'll have lunch and eating. And with the babies, it's very easy to offer alternatives because there's a limited amount of things that are age appropriate.
In your ProCare app, you have the ability to message, so you can actually message to either any of the staff or the teacher saying specifically, where you are.
So during the day?
During the day.
Yes.
Cool.
During the day. So the teachers are also privy to that. And then for the infants, what we do is we actually send out a daily infant report. So that's something that we will send out at the end of the day. And it'll basically cover things like feedings, like nappings, how much milk they consume. So this way you have a summary sheet at the end of the day, and then you're prepared. You could tell us for the next day, the next morning before you do drop them to school, they woke up, they had this much, or you could of course message us through the app. They woke up, they didn't sleep very well. Just keep us apprised so then our teachers are also aware, and then they could kind of handle them appropriately.
And of course, as always, for anybody, if there's anything that needs to be urgently communicated, you can always call. You can speak to either Miss Elizabeth, Tricia, whoever's around. We can always notify the teacher that way as well.
Okay, so we also have a professional cleaning crew that comes in every single night. We are sticklers for hygiene and maintenance, so that's something that is forever gonna happen. Touchless check-in, obviously that happens through the app. You guys have ProCare, you have the QR code. We have an iPad up front. You could just scan, drop in, drop out. Okay, so same thing, drop-offs and pickups, you're gonna scan using the ProCare app, and then you could send messages through this app as well. And then of course, the temperatures. Okay, communication. So obviously, we pride ourselves on the communication piece. You will have daily communication by us and yourselves through this app. So ProCare is definitely going to be your go-to. Of course, you can always pick up the phone and call when you're doing your drop-offs and pickups. Even at that time, of course, just relay whatever message you'd like to the teachers. But beyond that, we send out a newsletter, and I will advise, we send it out weekly. I would advise, please read that, because a lot of what happened, we will kind of summarize what we've done for the week, and we'll also let you know what to be prepared for the following week. So there are going to be events and whatnot that we kind of do, theme days, whatever. We'll just kind of give you a snapshot of that, a summary before and after, so at least you guys know what to be prepared for. But do read those newsletters because they really are helpful. And at the start of the month, we do send out, we try to kind of limit the whole paper saving the trees thing. So we will kind of send out the menus and the calendars at the start. When we do our invoicing, we'll also send that out. And then this way it'll come in through your email, and you can always just save it on your phone and just have it there for reference always. Oh, parent-teacher conferences occur twice a year. So that's also something that we do with the infants and toddlers. It's basically just to kind of know, we'll be making observations. But it's basically a dialogue that we have with parents. If there are things that you're working on, if there are things that we're working on, obviously for a big chunk of the day, your children are with us. So it's just important for us to kind of share those findings with you and vice versa. Okay, safety, of course, I mean, hand in hand with whatever we were just talking about, we do the following drills monthly: fire drills, lockdown drills, shelter in place. If God forbid a situation was to arise, just so you know, we would evacuate our children across. There's a little field, we call that Mia's Meadow. And so we would evacuate them for our drills, but otherwise, God forbid a real situation was to arise, our first point of evacuation is our neighbors. And then our secondary point of evacuation is right next door. Right here is the Arizona Tea Company global headquarters. We would take the kids there. Obviously, we have 2 hospitals within a mile distance, and then the police station is here as well. So everything is really, really accessible. Yes, overview, if you guys have any questions. And then meet the teachers. So just mark your calendars. August 30th and 31st, we are not going to be in session. We're actually doing professional development days. So that Monday, we're going to be focused on just staff trainings. That Tuesday, we'll be setting up classrooms, but that Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to send you just the times where you will be invited in. Just kind of note that it's going to be a Tuesday afternoon, that 31st, the day before school starts. We will be inviting you in. You can come in, you can meet the teacher, you can see the classroom, and then of course just introduce your children to the teachers. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So you mentioned before that you said everyone has to be, the children have to come in before 9 or 10 a.m. But do we have to give advance notice of when we we come a little early, a little later, and what about pickup as well? Like if we want to just at first do like half days,
Sure.
can we just come at noon or something? And
You could, and really,
give like advance notice.
Yeah, it's very easy for you, even at the time of, if you're saying, I'm going to be there in the next half an hour or something, especially for the little ones, it's actually helpful because many a times they're napping or eating or whatever. If they need a diaper change, we'll make sure to change their diapers before they leave. So it is helpful to just say, we're on our way. We're going to be picking them through the app.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
So very young. They're they basically just do whatever you're supposed to. Actually, fill out forms and that's great too. But you'll let the teacher know, and we kind of try to do that. And we'll look for his cues. So everyone's schedule is very, very different. The only thing I tell parents is that if you are used to your child being on a very specific schedule, just know that when they come into the room with 7 other friends with them and the lights on and music playing, it can take them a little while to get adjusted. So if he, takes that 2-hour nap at 9 o'clock every day, just know it's going to take a week or so for him to get adjusted to everything.
Okay, but they don't try to get them on it.
No, nope, not easy.
It'll happen though. It happens though,
Oh, yeah.
very organically. Yeah.
I know some schools, like when you were traveling, I did 2 weeks. Is that no longer?
So I will say that and I'm going to say this, I actually did not say this. So I would like to have our parents as transparent with their schedules and whatever to the best of your abilities. We haven't required any sort of restrictions, like restricted states or whatever, if you have traveled. Because most of the time, if you are traveling, especially if you're traveling outside of the country, anyways, you're going to get your COVID test. But if you are feeling feverish, I'm going to say this again. I mean, please know that there is a social responsibility to everyone here. Obviously, if the kids are fever-free and whatever, then technically you're allowed to come in. We're not restricting anybody just yet, but we would really appreciate that if you do go anywhere, please just inform us. So at least we know and we could kind of just be prepared. So no, so long story short, no, no restrictions.
Anyone on the team has any questions?
Yeah,
Just say, they can hear you, so.
we have some participants in the Zoom call. Does anybody on Zoom have any questions? Yes.
So as for COVID-19, vaccinated staff, I think I may have asked this question, but is everyone vaccinated, or at least my daughter is 13 months, so maybe it won't self, but are the people that are interacting with that age group vaccinated, or is it something that can be disclosed?
So I will say that we haven't made a company-wide mandate to have our staff vaccinated. I will say about 95% are vaccinated in general. So that's something that it's one of those things that we can't really strongly require people to just go and get vaccinated. We've strongly recommended that everyone does, but that's sort of been the extent of it.
But you're still going to maintain the check the temperature?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
None of that will change.
And another thing that we do, in general, we do have tests on hand and we use them very regularly, and we have throughout. So very regularly, we'll just have those the rapid tests on hand. So anytime we do feel like, and it's really with anything, I mean, if a teacher is just feeling like they have whatever, we'll just test them anyways, just to make sure. But that's more for our own security.
Thank you.
And even if you don't think of anything now, I mean, just send me a message. I'm gonna, anyways, this thing was recorded, so we're gonna be sending it across. Just send it across, and then if you have any questions, we'll just blast out to everybody. Yes.
Like any particular intervals, or is it just kind of like those ad hoc?
I would say ad hoc. We haven't made it a regular test thing. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because in general, I mean, we could be testing every whatever, and then a situation could happen. And it could be in that interim period. So it's just one of those things that we really just, it's kind of
I would
hard
say
to sustain.
the staff is super responsible, and there have been multiple times where people will say, "No, I'm feeling a little under the weather, I'm gonna go get the test first." And
Yep.
that's what we want. We definitely, we don't want COVID in the building at all, but we definitely don't want it off from us on our end. And all of the teachers are really careful with that. I mean, they really love your kids, like they are theirs. So as responsible as you guys all are, because I know everyone has the same COVID concerns,
Yep.
the teachers are too. It's scary for us too. COVID is a different world for us.
And for the teachers, I mean, even from their perspective, they're going home to their families, they have kids at home. So we kind of say the same thing to them. We're hoping on, just remember that there is this social responsibility and you kind of owe it to one another. So it's just something that we've been able to maintain up until now, and we're going to continue that. But that's why even if a situation was to occur with something random like RSV or whatever it may be, something else that may be contagious, we will inform you. And many times, I mean, obviously like an RSV situation may not be ideal, but at least we can then negate that it's the other stuff. So we will continue to do so. I mean, if a situation is to come up, we will definitely, you guys will be informed right away of that. Yes.
If there is a case.
Of the classroom. So right now we haven't had any cases, thank God. But in general, even if a parent was to have COVID, they come back and they have it. So obviously that child needs to quarantine. But we don't have plans to shut down a classroom. What we do is our first step would really be to test the parents. To test the teachers. So the teachers are tested first, and we will then inform the parents. If the parents are uncomfortable, because even now, like with RSV, we did inform everyone. We had a bunch of parents that were uncomfortable. They decided to send their kids for a couple of days because they just didn't want to be exposed, which was fine. But we will test the teachers and we'll make sure that they don't have it. If they were to have it, then we would shut down the room. If they were not to have it, then we will resume operations in that room.
The parent or student? The student, the same class, their class doesn't check.
I'm talking about the teachers. If a parent was to test positive, that particular child
Would stay home.
is staying home.
How about
is
if the
quarantined.
student, if the kid tests
If the child, well, we're assuming that the child has COVID if the parent has COVID.
positive?
We're assuming that.
Fair enough.
So that's why. So I'm not saying that the parents have to go and then get the rest of the parents in the room have to go and get the rest of the children tested. We're not mixing the infants anyways, but we will then inform the infants and toddlers. The toddlers are mixed, the infants, the young infants are not mixed. But we will then inform all the infant and toddler parents that this is what's happening. If a teacher is to test positive, then we're going to shut down the classroom because the teacher has the maximum interaction with all the kids in that room. So God forbid a situation like that is to arise, but again, then there's a possibility of that transmission.
So we have a few questions from the Zoom team. From Brian Shutak. What time are AM, PM snacks and lunch being served?
So AM snack is about between 10 to 10:30 every day. Lunch is usually between about 11:30 to 11:45. And afternoon snack is about 2:30, 2:45 after the children wake up from their nap.
The second question was the vaccination rate among staff at the school, which we answered roughly about 95%.
Yep.
Any plans to mandate vaccinations? Not yet. If there's a positive test at the school, what's the protocol besides deep cleaning? We covered that. Everyone gets notified. And we have the kid stay at home for 2 weeks for the quarantine period. If a teacher did test positive and the class shut down, how long would it shut down for? Is the question.
If a teacher
If a teacher tests positive, what's the protocol?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yep.
Right. The teacher would be out for 2 weeks. We would notify everyone in the classroom that the teacher tested positive.
10 days. It's 10 days.
And yeah, 10 days. 10 days is CDC.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah. And the last question is, at what point, if COVID numbers continue to rise on Long Island, would the school have to close? Again, we go by OCFS and we go by CDC and Department of Health. So whatever best kind of practices that they laid out, that's what we follow. Then the last question from Allison was, how is the age of the infant room split up? When did they move up with an infant and to the next classroom?
So we do have two different infants. So one is our 3-month to 12-month room, it's our youngest room. I will tell you, it does differ again with every child. We try to move the kids in the 12 to 18 months when they're fully mobile. We want them walking confidently. So again, for each child, that is a little bit different. My daughter, she didn't walk till she was almost 16 months. With my son, he was trying to walk at 9 months. You know, if they're comfortable eating food, we're kind of looking for a couple of different things before they move into that 12-month program. And again, every child is different. The toddler room, we do have 2 different toddler rooms as well. We have, nope, it's an 18 to 24 month for our toddler room, and then they'll go to the early school room when they turn 2.
That's it from me.
So for 18 to 24, are you moving based on birthday or is that more still based off?
Bit of both. We try to do it at the 18-month mark, because by that point, it's a very different child. They're really into a lot more. They can do a lot more artwork. We are wonder times in the infant rooms where they're kind of learning different things. Sometimes in the infant room, they're only getting to 1. We're obviously always taking care of their needs and feeding them. And if we're having a day where everyone's crying, we're not getting to that wonder time. But in the toddler classroom, they look forward to it. They're ready to do those things. So kind of developmentally at that point, it's a little bit more of an even playing field.
Thanks.
That number had like exposure to some of the other things of COVID, but we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Just repeat, so they can hear.
So the question was, if a staff member was to come in contact with somebody who has COVID, then what would we do? And I would say the same for the child. If a child comes in contact with somebody who has COVID, then what's usually the protocol? Up until now, we've had that particular adult. So if the child, we're again assuming that the child and the parent are together all the time, parent or the teacher, we would have them tested. So we would get them tested before they can come back. Yeah.
Ready to go back to COVID again?
No.
Let's say he wasn't. So would we be notified, like let's say another baby sibling?
Like if the child's sibling was, but they came back negative.
Well, I guess so.
So again, I mean, the first course of action would be that we would need to know if that particular child has anything. So whether it's a sibling or whether it's a parent, same rules kind of apply. We're under the assumption,
If they live
unless
in the same house, we're under the assumption that
that they
if
have
someone in
COVID.
that house has it, the kid also has it.
Unless
Because-
the parent then goes and gets this particular child tested and they come back and it's negative and they produce those results with us. But if a situation was to arise where a particular child does have COVID and they need to go and get tested or whatever, then even before returning, they will get a second test done. Or if a result was to come back on a rapid, for example, we'll have those situations where a rapid test will come back. Those rapid tests are always a little wonky anyways. So a rapid may come back and it may be positive. Then we will still say you need to get that PCR test because at least those are more reliable. We need those PCR tests to be done before we can have that child coming back. And then a negative rapid test, because you could have those false positives. And so then we will say, get that negative PCR test and get a negative rapid test, and then you may come back. Or just quarantine for 2 weeks. Not if it's a false positive. So if they come back and they do the whole thing, if it's a false positive and they're waiting on PCR results, obviously they're not allowed to come back. We don't know that it's a false positive until all the other events are to occur. If all those other events occur, then, and that child is allowed to come back, then that's something that we don't necessarily have to share only because it ended up being a false positive. If it is a situation that does matter, that does affect you, then of course we will absolutely let you know of that. So for example, if a family feels like they went somewhere, they want to go get tested just because, but they come back and they have a negative result. Again, we're not going to tell you that a particular child went and got tested and came back negative, only if there was that threat. Yes,
What to bring on day one, and without this in the package? or-
yes,
Yeah, that's like 3 1Ds or like.
Oh, yeah, it was on that slide.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is there like a?
yes, yes.
There's a checklist on in the package.
Yep. And we'll send that out again,
Okay.
just so everyone
Yeah.
knows it. We'll just send that in a
And you
digital
said the
thing.
bag as well. You said that we didn't receive one.
Yep, then please find us afterwards.
So it's actually just an OCFS regulation. So when, yeah, they have a lot of rules, a lot. So we have, I suggest pages, they're sending home. Oh, so we're actually sending a home masking tape today, but all of our babies, all of their items are also color coded in the classroom. So your baby's little bin that's in the fridge, if you see red on your bottle, it'll be because your bin is red, it'll be the dresser drawer is red. It's just an additional way of making sure all of your child stuff stays with your child stuff. Because I will tell you, so many parents use Advent bottles, so if the cap's not labeled, then we're kind of scrambling, and we never want to be putting someone's bottle cap on someone else's. It's just
Yeah, with the date stuff, I mean, we're not holding any food here anyways. So we're gonna be sending it back. It's just one of those requirements that we need to kind of abide by. Yep, yeah, those are great because those are dishwash safe and all of that.
Mom, I feel your frustration.
Yeah, trust me.
Nothing else.
Okay. And if you remember anything, I think all these questions were great and we'll just write them all out. And again, we'll just kind of blast them out to everybody because I'm sure a lot of the questions will be similar. So we'll just blast it out to everybody so you have it for your own reference. And if you remember anything later, then just please come find us or send us a message.
Just very quickly, if anybody is planning to pick up their child, Feta and Ral have set up some refreshments outside. Just let us know and we'll bring your kids outside to meet you on the playground. Then you don't have to come back around and grab your child from the front. We'll just bring them right to you.
If you wanted the back, I could come here, we can actually take care of that now. And then, yeah, Ms. Patricia has some paperwork side, so any questions or anything, Ms. Elizabeth?
So I have to ask for the last one, because they will be once in like November. So I know it's like the start of the school year for you guys, right? It's like about 14 days.
3:53.
Yeah.